Right.
Okay. So if everybody can sort of be a little bit quiet, I'm sorry to say that, but
Quiet on the set.
yeah, quiet on the set. Thank you. Okay, and we are rolling.
Okay.
Remember, look at
Okay.
Ronnie.
Look at me.
All right. Okay, Ronnie.
Can you state your name and the date?
My name's Christie Hermann, and it is June 11th, 2013.
Okay. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Can you tell me when you worked at Edna McGuire and what you did?
Well, I started at Edna McGuire in 1970 when it was a middle school. It closed in 1972, and the new middle school opened up, which is now not so new. And then it reopened. It was an elementary school. It closed and was sold or rented to private industries, one of which was Growing Enterprises of Marin. I think it was GEM. And they were the ones who started this garden. So then in 1990, when our school district was growing, Strawberry was the smallest school, and that was closed, and this was reopened. So the garden was here, and Strawberry, all the staff was moving over, and it was a much bigger campus. And then there was the conversation about what to do with the garden. And there was a group of people who wanted to turn it into a soccer field, and there was a group of people who wanted to keep it as a garden. So I was one of those people who was just worried about setting up my classroom, so I let them duke it out, but I'm sure glad the garden people won.
And what was your role in the garden initially?
Initially, seems to me Susan Reynolds took the leadership of the garden when we first moved here, and there was no better person to have done it. She was so dedicated and had such enthusiasm. And she generated a lot of support from the teachers. And there was an advisory board that worked on developing, actually kind of maintaining it. I believe there was an employee who helped with the maintenance, who was a bit of a curmudgeon, but he sure kept it going. And then we started bringing our classes out. And we were just learning how to use a garden as an instructional tool. So because I was teaching kindergarten, it was a great opportunity to bring kids out there at their first years at Edna. And so I was just kind of a learner, I think, as much as the teacher at the way beginning.
Can you tell me any specific experiences that you had?
Oh, well, gosh. I'm sure there are many, and I'll think of them on the way home in the car. I do know that we've had a lot of really wonderful celebrations out here. We started those fairly early on, as I recall, and we would have everybody out. The school wasn't quite so big, and we'd have everybody out in the garden for a garden sing. I know we had a few emergency drills that everybody ended up in here. We'd have work parties on Saturdays, and parents and teachers and kids would come. And then every year it seemed that there was something added to the whole garden curriculum or the whole experience. So that by the time I retired in 2008, the garden was a part of every day at Edna. Most kids had an experience in here regularly, which is actually was the vision of it all.
Can you tell me about the circle?
Well, the circle was a big surprise. Susan Johnson and I retired at the same time, and we both really loved being out here with our classes. So the parents built this or made this compass rose, and I think there's about 500 pounds concrete keeping it where it is, was installed after we retired, and it was just it's a real honor. I can't think of anything better to have had.
I guess just one more question. What inspired you to get involved in the garden in the first place?
Well, when you're a kindergarten teacher, you know that kids learn by doing more than by what you tell them. So this is just the epitome of where kids would come to learn. Kids who might have a problem behaving in the classroom didn't have a problem behaving out here. You your voice didn't go quite so far, which maybe was a good thing, but management was always an issue. So you give all the instructions inside and then you'd come out and you'd actually do what you had talked about doing. We had some wonderful garden parents who helped us along the way, and some garden coordinators who kept it really nice to be out here. So we weren't always coming out to weed. We were coming out to plant or collect or observe or scavenger hunts, or just any number of things that you could do with kids. And it was one of the kids, actually yesterday I was with TAM graduates, 12th grade kids who were in my kindergarten class in 2001 maybe. In any event, we got out a book of I Remember from kindergarten, and a good number of them had remembered something that happened in the garden. And what else can you say?
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
How important do you think it is for elementary school children to experience this kind of thing wherever they might be?
Wherever they are. Well, I just think it's the ultimate experience for kids to have an opportunity to be out in nature, to have some control, to see what kind of role they can play, and that the impact that they can have, both negative and positive, on the environment. And they can see it right here in their own garden bed. If they forget to water, they'll find out what happens, and if they tend it and take good care of it, they'll end up having strawberries for snack.
Beautiful. Thank you. How about, I know that it's changing and it's happening. Would you like to comment on moving forward? And if I can say, let's put a positive spin on it as opposed to a negative spin on it, you know what I mean?
Okay, you are editing, aren't you?
Yes,
Of
yes.
course.
Sorry.
6 o'clock news. One at 11. Okay, here we go.
Well, this garden has such a long history because it must have started in the 80s. So the soil's been worked over in this part of the garden since 1980s. So I think a real important thing will be to bring the new parts of the garden up to speed without not assuming that it's going to be quite as rich as it was, the parts that we are leaving behind and changing, refocusing. But I do hope that the whole notion of working with the land, stewardship of the land, continues, because while it may be difficult to get the weeds out, it's just educationally so sound for young children to do this, to work here, that I just am so glad that we've been known as the garden school, and know that that will continue. I think there's just a real sense of ownership about it. And it's amazing how new parents come in and old parents graduate, but I think the sense that that's really the kind of the identity of our school continues. So the names change, I guess, but the plants don't. So
You're in the movie. Very nice.
ah, gosh, I didn't know I was going to